So let's start with you, Rick. We got the game that starts it all on Sunday is the Niners traveling to Philadelphia. So talk to us about what are the betting odds looking like right now?
This line hasn't moved much, to be honest with you. It opened at 2.5. It's still 2.5 for the Eagles. I assume that's probably because the game is in Philly. The over under for this game is 46.5, which also has not changed that much since it opened. And the only thing that I've really seen change over the course of the week since it opened on Sunday is it looks like the public is betting Philadelphia pretty hard because the juice for the -2.5 has moved to from -110 to looks around -120, -115 now. So when that happens and the line's kind of staying stagnant, it just kind of tells me that most of the people out there are betting the Eagles to cover the spread. The juice hasn't really changed on the over under, so it looks like people are kind of betting the over under pretty evenly. But since it is a championship game, I'm sure by game time more people are going to be betting the over because people like to see points like you do. But right now I'm seeing Eagles -2.5 and 46.5.
Well, so for you, who do you like in that game straight up? And then what, if any, bets would you make looking at those odds?
So like I've said on the last couple shows, in the midseason show that we did, I picked the 49ers and Chiefs to play in the Super Bowl, and I picked the 49ers to win the whole thing. It's tough for me to go back on that right now because of how well coached the 49ers are and stuff like that. But I'll be completely honest with you, Mike. I've been examining this game this week. I think the Eagles are just a better team. I think on pretty much almost every level of the field, except maybe like I can't even say defensive line because defensive line, the Eagles are pretty strong too. Maybe the secondary for the 49ers is a little bit better, but I think overall, the Eagles are a better team and they get a home game. 49ers have to travel east after playing the last game of the week on Sunday last week, so a little bit of a shorter week for them. Um, so I don't know, man. It's really tough to be completely honest with you. If I was leaning one thing in this game, if you held my gun to a gun to my head and said you have to bet one thing on this game, I know you hate to hear it, but I kind of like the under. I think these are two running football teams. I think the clock's going to be running a lot. Good defensive teams in this game. I think 46.5 is a little bit too high of a number for this game. I think the a line should have been closer to like maybe 43, 42, 42 and a half maybe. But they're probably never going to set that to be the line, especially with how good, how efficient both of these teams have been on offense the last, 10 weeks or whatever. So I like the under. I like the under when it comes to games later in the postseason because teams do tense up a little bit. They become a little bit more conservative, especially Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan is known to become more conservative, as evidenced by him blowing the Super Bowl against when he was the offensive coordinator for the Falcons a couple years ago against the Chiefs. They could have won that game. Also, he just becomes a little bit more conservative when the things come to a head. And I just think that, my heart leans 49ers just because I've kind of been a 49ers fan like most of my life, just because they were like my NFC team. I rooted for them before the Ravens came to Baltimore, all that stuff. I wouldn't mind seeing Kyle Shanahan finally get the job done. The story of Brock Purdy is fantastic, being the Mr. Irrelevant in the draft to winning a Super Bowl. But I do think the Eagles are the better team. So I really don't lean aside here. So if I'm going to lean anything, it's going to be the under.
All right, and believe it or not, after what happened last week and these two good defenses. Now there is and I always factor in weather a little bit.
Yeah.
It's going to be nice. I mean, it's going to be around 52 degrees, but south winds at 5 to 15 miles per hour. There's a chance of rain after 1 o'clock, so a little bit of rain can come into play, and of course that really makes for an ugly game if that hits. But again, based on what I saw last week with the Eagles and the 49ers, I think with these two good defenses, I don't know if I can bet the over this week, guys. And I know that's tough for me to say. I'm actually having a hard time saying that right now. But let me throw it to you, Chris, on this game.
Yeah, man. I'm with Rick. I'm glad he was saying it's going to be, a tighter, low scoring game. Especially after we saw what we saw last week, with all the games and these two teams in particular. I'm perfectly with you, Rick. I think 43-44. That was the right over under for this game. But my biggest takeaway is if this over under is 46.5, I don't know how the other one is 47.5. To me, these games should have been different in over under by at least 3, maybe 4 points. So either this one's way too high or the other one's way too low, which we'll get to eventually. But there's no way that these games should have had an over-under difference of only 1 point. That's just ridiculous. 49ers and Eagles, much more stout defensively than either the Bengals or the Chiefs. So not really sure what's going on there, but I'll take the bait and lean towards the under on 49ers Eagles. And just to give a hint, I think over in Bengals Chiefs, Mike, that'll be your over of the week. So gear up for that one. But in terms of the spread, I think 2.5's hitting it right on the head. I mean, this feels like -2, -2.5 game for me. But I'm going to side with the Eagles here. I don't think it's a slam dunk bet, but if I had to bet one or the other, I'm going with the Eagles simply because the Eagles are 13-1 with Jalen Hurts as a starting quarterback. They're at home. The 49ers are on a shorter week than them, and they have to travel all the way across the country. And I'm betting the home team and the better quarterback. It's just as simple as that. And the Eagles offense has been almost as efficient as the 49ers offense. Two absolutely dynamic receivers, and then Jalen Hurts essentially being running back one for the Eagles. And then, they have their complementary running backs there with Miles Sanders. Kenny Gainwell had a really nice game last week. I think it's a 23-20 game, 24-21, something in that range. So I'm going Eagles under.
Yeah, there's not much. I'm looking at these two teams, and on offense, skilled positions, I mean, they're both, loaded, both loaded. So the difference to me is, again, can Brock Purdy continue the Cinderella dream that's going on? He's been
8-0.
I know, it's been amazing. He is going to Philly. He's going into enemy territory. I do think, obviously, I do believe the Eagles have a slightly better defense. I mean, they sacked opposing teams 70 times during the regular season. So they're going to be putting some heat on Purdy, but they do a fantastic job of getting the ball out of Purdy's hands, just like we'll talk about the Bengals in a little bit. And Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow was getting that ball out of his hands in about 2.5 seconds. So if you can do that, and they have such a well-balanced team, they can run the ball. Great trade this year for Christian McCaffrey. Man, my heart wants to go with the 49ers. As I said earlier, I look for those teams in California after the Bills are out. But I'm going to go with the Eagles to win straight up. If I had to tell you who I think is going to win, I do think they cover the spread. You said what, 2.5 points, Rick? Is that what it is they're favored by?
Yep.
2.5. And the over under is what? 46.5. 46.5. Yeah, for this one, I believe it or not, you're going to hear it first. I would take the under.
Let me throw some numbers at you while you were talking, guys. I just did a little research here. So I have a site that I use that shows like how much money is coming in on a certain side and a certain side of the over-under. Right now on Friday, and obviously this could change before Sunday, for the side, it looks like 56% of the money is coming in on the Eagles. And 45% is coming in on the 49ers. And then 76% of the money is coming in on the under in this game. So only 25% of the people out there are betting the over.
What does that tell you when the public likes an under?
Yeah, you don't get that very often. Publics usually are about the favorites and the over. So if the public is loving the under here, we may be in for a high-scoring game, boys.
Is that how you usually go, Rick? So
Oh
if
yeah,
the public's siding one way, you feel like it's
you got to fade the public. That's how you make money in sports betting.
really okay.
Yeah.
Let's get him.
One other prop that I liked, and I kind of wanted to get your take on this, Chris. So last week I was looking at the numbers in the Eagles Giants game. They pretty much dominated that game. They ran the ball 47 times, I think, 46 times in that game. And Miles Sanders had 17 rush attempts in that game, off of 47 rush attempts total for the Eagles. His over/under for rush attempts in this game is 15. I think the Eagles are going to have to throw the ball a little bit in this game. I don't think they're going to be able to run all over the 49ers defense. Even if they try to run it, it seems like they have a running back committee going on right now with him, Sanders, Boston Scott. Who's the other guy, Chris?
Kenny Gainwell.
Kenny Gainwell. Yeah, he came out of nowhere too and had some carries last week. Jalen Hurts is going to carry the ball a bunch this game. I'd love to hear your thoughts, Chris, but I really like Miles Sanders under 15 rush attempts this game. I don't think he's going to get to 15 rush attempts.
So I would say that I wouldn't base it totally off last week's usage because, like you said, it was a blowout. So third and fourth quarter, they were putting Gainwell in there. I think he actually had 100 yards. Gainwell between rushing and receiving. So they were giving Sanders a blow in the third and fourth quarter. So I'd be interested, Rick, to see those opportunities, by quarter. I bet most of that was in the first half or early third quarter. But yeah, I think I'm with you. I think the way to beat the 49ers is not, necessarily Sanders' skill set. Running up the middle or running off tackle. I think they're going to try to spread them out. The Niners have a gettable secondary. So I think they're going to try to spread them out, use A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, even use Gainwell on the perimeter to try to get people in space. So, yeah, I mean, I think that line's pretty solid, 15 carries. All I'll suggest is just don't base it solely off last week because that was an anomaly. They were obviously just giving him some time off. But you also said it right that Miles Sanders might start the game. I don't think he's any more than a 50% usage back. As much as they use Gainwell, they love Boston Scott on the goal line. They love Jalen Hurts down in the red zone. So, Miles Sanders is the starter, but he's certainly not the workhorse.
All right.